Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something that shouldn't even be a controversy to begin with, but yeah, and behold, it is. We're going to be talking about the Japanese role playing game that is a mixture between that and a visual novel. So, as you can see, the game looks like this, and if you're curious about what the gameplay is like, it's look like this.
My turn.
So I personally didn't know about this game, but now that I see it, I find it a little bit interesting. It seems like the sort of game which I would play when I'm thinking about what to say in the next YouTube video. It's definitely something that I would consider it relaxing and enjoyable. And the reason it's a controversy is that if you are following what is going on in the gaming industry up till this point, the Western bigots are definitely starting to influence Japanese developers more and more. To the point where you see Japanese gamers having to play censored version of their game because people on Reset Era that likes to dox, harass, blacklist members of the development community are doing their best efforts in order to use the game journal pros and impose their bigotry, I guess, on other cultures. Because when I look at this, this is Japanese culture. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, this is a type of art style that exists, from what I can see, only in Japan. And progressives do not like it. They do not enjoy it at all. And while they say, oh, they don't like sexualization and whatnot, they don't seem to complain when games like Shower with Your Dad Simulator appears on Steam. They don't seem to complain when there are sex scenes in the Witcher 3 game. It's only when the Japanese does a little drawing with a titty that these people freak out. So this game developer, wanting to bypass the gatekeepers, did something horrible and went directly to the consumer, basically starting a survey online asking people how would they like the girls to be drawn in the second part of the game. So you got like the option on the right, which would show the girls a little bit more similar to what they looked in part one. And then you have the option on the left, which in my opinion is still way too risque for the people on Reset Era. Like nothing short than a burqa or would suffice. And it's usually not the way the girls are dressed, but it's the fact that they have pretty faces. Like unless the girl looks like the developers took her in the back room and beat her with the ugly stick, it's not okay. Now, again, I personally think that it's important to know who you market this game towards. If you're marketing this game towards teenage boys, which let's be honest are the most likely people to buy this, then probably the depictions on the right are what you want to go with if you want to sell games. Now, the progressive argument is like, oh, but what about the women? Now, I don't have a study, and I don't even think there are, but from asking several women that I know who play Bejeweled all day on Facebook and lack the internet, they do not play these types of games because they do not like violence. They really hate violence. And again, like, this isn't all women everywhere, but the ones that I spoke with. And I tend to think that this might be a trend because if I ask my mom to watch a movie with me that I like, for example, Lord of the Rings or something like that, she will refuse because she doesn't like violence. Like anything that has violence in it, women seem, again, not all women, but the majority of women seem to be iffy about it. And I know so many that feel the same way, which is why 50 Shades of Grey is very popular. It's not a violent movie. I mean, I guess it's a different type of violence, isn't it, if you think about it? But anyway, right, so looking here, um, again, I'm not the game developer. I think the game developer should draw whatever they want. If they want to draw like this, fine. If they want to draw like this, fine. You know, like people are going to look at it and purchase it. But I do appreciate and respect this developer for actually asking people what they want. And that's an interesting change. Me personally, I mean, there are some girls that I like it on the right side, and then there are some girls that I prefer them on the left side. Like, for example, I think this one looks like this is a lot more intimidating and a lot more scary than this one. Again, like the progressives, they do not take into consideration that there's a lot of feminine power when you look like this. Like, I bet if they see a cosplayer looking like this, most beta males from Reset Era wouldn't even be able to make eye contact with her It'll be like, step on me, Mythith. And then there's others that look ridiculous. Like, for example, this looks ridiculous. I prefer this. But, like they're pieces of art. So they are just drawings on a piece of paper. And honestly, they project a different array of emotions when you look at them. Like, for example, this one looks a little bit more exotic, like more mystical, like she's in control of some nature magic type of thing, while this one looks like a city girl from a fantasy town, like steampunk. So, it really depends. Like, if you're just focusing on showing skin and sexuality and whatnot, like, to me, neither of these two are sexy. But this one is someone that is, again, from a steampunk environment. She seems very civilized, a member of the polite society, if you will. While this one seems a lot more elvish, like in tune with nature, something that you would find in a civilization that lives secluded in the woods and is in tune with nature. And it's just from the clothing, right? Now, again, like this one looks evil, while this one looks friendly. So it's really just like to just narrow it down on sexuality to me is really bizarre, and it's disgusting that we're even having this conversation. Not to mention that some of these girls do look underage, and again, like if you play a game that's not hentai related, it's not porn related, and it's just having like these types of art styles, doesn't mean that I will necessarily find them sexy. I mean, for example, I find this to be more sexy than this one. Right? These ones I don't find them sexy at all. And then this is probably my favorite. And I haven't carbon dated them. Like, I don't know their age or anything like that. But I look at the art, and it definitely looks better than Cal Arts. It definitely looks better than what people that from California like to put out and call cartoons nowadays. Like, this looks effort. I can't draw like this. Neither left nor right. I do not have the power to draw like this, but I can draw you some Cal Arts shit if you want. It will take me like 1 or 2 weeks in order to learn how to draw them, and then I can draw as many as you want. And it's a shame that it goes against artistic freedom. So I remember another game that I forgot its name, where the developer decided to tone down the sexuality because Reset Era was complaining. And as they tone down the sexuality, what ends up happening is that a lot of people were pointing out that they're unhappy with the change, and why can't they have like a slider for the people that are offended to just to turn off the sexuality, and the people who enjoy playing the game in a sexy manner can. And the developer said, well, it's not about choice. Oh, I see. So usually this is like a sign of a cancer when a developer says it's not about choice. It's not the problem that they're removing the sexiness, but it's the problem that it shows the company is already infested with talentless hacks that are absolute bigots, and the game will suffer in the future as a result. But anyway, I mean, if you have an opinion about it, if you want to purchase the game, there is a link in the pinned comment where you can find the survey. And do let me know what you personally think. I don't think this necessarily has anything to do with sexuality or sexualization. I think it has to do with control. These people, they are happy when they see a game developer bend to their whim and do things their way. But again, like, this is Japanese culture. This is what Japanese people like to express themselves and put on the market. And because you're a Westerner bigot, a baizu, you can't feel good because they're polluting the mind of your of the masses, I guess, in the West. It is very interesting. Like, if they could, they would probably install like an iron curtain to make sure that no Japanese products come over. It's very similar to what China does, really. Like, China doesn't like movies from here if they have like LGBT. This is why you don't see LGBT characters on the big screen, but you see a lot of them on television. It's because movies are usually being marketed to China for a profit. And in order to market them to China, they have to remove certain things that are offensive to the Chinese people. And this is why you get to see these types of things. So yeah, I mean, do let me know what you think, and I suppose I will hear from you guys in the comment section. Take care.